Alright, hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and I am not going to waste any time at all getting into the very first screenshot, in-game screenshot of SpinTires MudRunner. This was pulled from the Australian website of EB Games. So, EB Games Australian website, and to be honest, all of these were pulled from there. And I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure they're legit. I'm pretty sure they look legit, they seem legit, everything around them seems legit, so I feel like there's no reason to believe that they aren't legit, but looking at that Western Star, for example, really sets the stage for how this game is going to feel and how this game is going to play. And it's going to give that big truck, powerful, American feel, really to these, to these vehicles and bring that to the game. Not that the Russian trucks didn't feel, powerful and really, intense and like they were built for the job. But especially if you grew up in like the Western U.S. or even the Southern U.S. where you see semi-trucks a lot, hell, the Northern U.S., no matter where in the U.S. you live, you will have seen semi-trucks. If you lived around a highway, you will have grown up around semi-trucks. And there's certain things that like you'll be used to seeing. Like, for example, this next one we're going to show, which is this Freightliner, which, by the way, I'm really, really happy that these are confirmed to be in the game, by the way. And not only that, but it makes it a new confirmed licensed vehicle for American Wilds. And the licensed vehicles are a big, big part of American Wilds as a whole. But I do find it weird that he's actually pulling a four-wheel fuel trailer instead of actually, instead of pulling something else. And I also kind of find it a little odd that he's got normal street tires, because in reality, if he was running those tires, he would be 100% stuck. Like, there would be no question about it in my mind. He would just be, boom, stuck, done. So, with that being said, yeah, there are a couple of things that I think could be maybe not as realistic as, I don't know. There are always going to be certain things that are not going to be like a perfect simulation, but I'm still super, super happy to have them here, and I'm very, very happy about the Freightliner being... The Freightliner is a welcome addition, honestly. Like, I'm really happy to have it here, because that's a staple of American trucking. Like, whether or not you're a Freightliner fan, I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't like Freightliner. Whether or not you're a Freightliner fan, you have to agree that they are a staple of American semi-trucks, and like, the big rigs that you see out on the highway, a lot of them are Freightliners. I mean, brands like, especially like, in 90s trucks, you had like the big brands like Freightliner and Kenworth, and all of those guys. And honestly, the fact that it's here, and I like the fact that they're actually using some older trucks and not like brand new trucks, because out in the wilderness, generally, what are you going to see? Mostly older trucks, because these trucks get used and beat on and abused and then fixed, worked on, and then put back in service again, and they get used again, and that's kind of the charm of these trucks, is they just keep getting beat on over and over and over again, and then fixed, and then they keep going, and they keep going, and they keep going, and these trucks work in very harsh conditions. So I'm really hoping that, obviously, those harsh conditions are going to be simulated and replicated here in MudRunner American Wilds. And I think that the cool thing about it, and by the way, the gameplay that you guys are watching is me on the American Wilds map in the standard version of MudRunner, just basically messing around, playing around, building trucks, and just kind of throwing them all over the place. So this next vehicle is very important. You guys already know that it's here, but at the same time, we get to look at it in a little bit more detail with some actual in-game screenshots. And that one, my friends, is the H1 Hummer. And honestly, you couldn't have a American-based off-roading game without the H1 Hummer. I mean, it's a staple of American off-road vehicles. It really is. It's a staple of American off-road vehicles, almost as much, if not more, than the Jeep. The Jeep is a very iconic vehicle. The Jeep proved itself in war, but honestly, the Hummer, the Humvee, whatever you want to call it, if you want to even call it by its technical name or its technical, abbreviation, which I have honestly forgotten off the top of my head, but regardless of what you want to call it, it is here, and it is going to be a major part of this game. And if you look at the background of this shot, you see the water tower and you see those trees. Those are much taller fir trees than anything we've seen in MudRunner before. Those are different than any of the other fir trees that we've seen in the standard version of the game. So it's really cool to me, like, to see that they're actually bringing, you know, really, you know, different and changed landscape work. I mean, like, honestly, like, the landscape and, like, the foliage and stuff like that, by bringing new trees and new, you know, hell, even if they bring new bushes, new grass, new dirt, it all plays into this new world that they're creating around the American Wilds as it is as a whole. And I think that, honestly, you know, once they bring that to life, that it'll be a really enjoyable and fun world to be in. And by being in that world, I think we're going to have a lot of really great memories from this expansion. And honestly, like I said before, I do want to put a disclaimer here that none of this stuff is, like, officially confirmed. It could very well be just renderings, but at the same time, it came from a reliable-ish source. So that's the reason why I'm calling it a leak and not necessarily a release. So that's why, like I said before, that's why I'm considering this information and these screenshots a leak rather than a legit announcement. So just in case that was not clear beforehand, I did want to make it fully clear now. And in going forward, honestly, I think we have to treat anything, unless it comes straight from the developers themselves, we have to treat, you know, any kind of American Wilds leak with not necessarily suspicion, but take it with a grain of salt until we actually know it's legit for ourselves. And honestly, this, again, feels very, very, very legit, and the source feels pretty legit, but I tend to be just a little bit wary of these things until they're super, super confirmed, like all-out confirmed. And by the way, speaking of the environment, I want you guys to take a really close look at this shot, because the fir trees on the left, kind of towards middle left, look a lot taller than anything we've had in the game before. However, the shrubbery and the smaller trees look exactly like the ones we have right now, and I'm sure that there's going to be some recycled assets. I mean, it's impossible for there not to be. Well, not necessarily impossible, but I would expect there to be some recycled assets. With that being said, I really hope that the game is this bright and this vibrant, because normally, the staple of a SpinTires game, a MudRunner game, is that gritty, gray, like, kind of undertone that you get all the time. And if we finally get that lifted out of the base game and really get put into a much brighter environment, I think that'll do a really good job at conveying the difference between, say, for example, the environment, the European environment that it's in now, and the American environment that they're wanting to branch into. And of course, I'm not saying there couldn't be, like, a couple of, like, you know, foggy days in game and stuff like that. In fact, I would love if there was a dynamic weather system, not even necessarily weather as in rain and snow, but I mean, that would be really cool, but it would be cool even if it went between, like, clear and foggy, and it was, like, a noticeable difference. It wasn't just, like, something microscopic. It was, like, something that actually really made a difference to the environment. But that has been this latest vehicle leak in regards to SpinTires MudRunner American Wilds. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with all things SpinTires, all things MudRunner, all things off-road related in the gaming world, as well as track and on-road related, with Forza Horizon 4 coming soon, as well as up-to-date coverage on Forza Motorsport 7. So, hope you all enjoyed. See you guys next time. Tomcat out.